infection is due to the presence of memory cells, so immunological memory. So let's look at a graph that shows this difference. And you'll notice that there is a first exposure down there at day 0. And this first exposure increases the number of antibodies in your blood by a little bit. So it takes a little bit of time. Like, for example, it might take a week before your antibodies start to or are at their highest, and you start to fight off the infection. So this is why we get sick, and then after about a week, we start to feel better. So if you have a primary response to an infection, you have memory cells in your body. And then the second exposure right here, boosts the immune response. So notice how much higher, specifically the IgG or the immunoglobulin G, which those are antibodies, how much higher they go. And so that secondary exposure also has a much quicker response. So if you notice that this has a real steep curve, and so we would respond to that. And so this might be like you get the rhinovirus, the cold virus again, after you've just had it not too long ago. And then what happens is that your body is able to respond much more quickly the second time, so that you might feel a little drained, but then you bounce back and you're like, oh, maybe I thought I was getting sick, but I didn't. This is also the reason why we get booster shots. So this exposure could be due to artificial. So we could get a shot in our arm of a weakened virus, a killed virus, or just a piece of the virus, or maybe just a piece of the virus's messenger RNA. And then what happens then is that you are able to produce antibodies that are specific to that antigen. Then what happens is that your body is able to fight it off, and then you get memory cells. And so the next time you're exposed to that virus, or if you get a booster shot to that virus, then it's going to boost your antibody response. So you're going to be able to respond much more quickly. And then this is going to keep your antibody levels higher over a long period of time, so that you have more learned immunity, more adaptive immunity to that possible infection. So if we're talking about the COVID virus, right, you get it, you get the vaccine, and then you get a booster shot. Or even if you're naturally exposed to it, you're also going to develop immunological memory. And so vaccinations and natural exposure cause the same type of immune response, but the natural exposure obviously could have much more long-lasting effects when we talk about COVID, or it could actually be very, very damaging to your lungs or even cause death. And so these responses are due to immunological memory, this first and secondary response to infection or to a vaccination.